Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to proceed with putting this Yanmar 1 GM diesel engine back together, cleaning up some pieces and whatnot. And I want to point out that this is all in a process of me learning and preparing my boat for long distance travel. I essentially open up the engine to get at the piston. And I wanted to check the piston and see what the status is, along with other things, and to see what's happening with this engine. It was working pretty well to begin with, but then I developed a major oil leak through a banjo fitting over this way. And there was, when I bought the boat, the engine came with it, and there was some concern that that there was some problem with the valves or the compression, generally speaking. And therefore, I wanted to take it apart to have a look. Okay, I'm going to work to get the whole raw water pump off of this thing. And what I found was, first of all, these 3 bolts that are holding it to the engine are pretty rusty, and also they're 3/8. So I don't think they're original. I got one cracked loose. I may have to take this the pulley wheel off, but we'll see what happens. I gotta tell you, I was sweating. I gotta remove this off, and there's this big nut, 27 millimeters right here, and I thought for sure that I was going to struggle with that. I don't have the piston installed anymore, but it broke free real easy. I just used one of these tools here to capture the V-belt wheel here, and this is on. It doesn't say in the manual, but it's on just righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I'm going to leave myself a lot of room here with the threads, but hopefully. There we go. So this water pump has 3 bolts, one up here, one down over here, and this one right down in here. And that one is stripped, and you can see they're all, well, I don't know if you can see that or not, but they are pretty rusty, all of them. Looks to be the same size as the other 2, so I'm guessing it's also 3/8, but the 3/8 wrench does not want to seat down on it. Let's see if I can just tap this on. No. It's going. If nothing else, it's good to go through this exercise because now, out on the boat, this will be a whole lot more of a headache. All right. Now I have a replacement, and what I'll do is I'm going to keep this as a spare because there's nothing wrong with it that I'm aware of. This cover and these thumb screws are aftermarket. They're still really tough to get off, but they are supposed to make changing the impeller easier. So there is the impeller. I'm just going to pull these off too. And I don't see oh yeah, so there's an O-ring. That's what this does. This has an O-ring instead of a gasket. This way. Oh. Yeah, this thing is jacked up. Okay, well, thank you to one of my viewers who pointed out I should replace this. And the idea all along was certainly to do so. However, it's good to keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and open up this. This is a genuine Yanmar water pump, brand new. No idea what's in here. And there we have it. So you see how this is different. It's got the 3 screws instead. Whatever, this is 40 years old. Actually, yeah, 40 years old this year. And this is brand new. So I wonder if there's a way to test these bearings here. I mean, it seems to move just fine. Okay, I just put one of these bolts back into the hole here and screwed it in because it seems like it's 3/8 and they need to be replaced anyways, but it goes in smooth. Anyways, I'll replace these. Related to this piece that I found in the pan when I took that off, this piece of metal right here, that's the arm, as I said, of the lift pump, and I've got a pump here. You see that
that essentially is the same thing as this. This works on a cam right here. It lifts it up, activates the pump. Here's the piece that you would activate manually right here. I'm going to open this one up. This one came with the boat. It was already replaced. I think what's happening here is it functions. It seems to function. It's okay. Well, that's interesting. The arm on this, just as of note, the arm on this one that was replaced, and I don't know why, the arm is a lot. It's like double the thickness of this one that broke. So maybe that was a flaw in the original design of this unit. So we got that. I thought I'd go ahead and open this one up. Yanmar does not sell parts to these pumps. These pumps are sold as individual items, at least according to their parts breakdown. So I want to see what this diaphragm in here is by taking these 4 screws off. I mean, it's screwed together, so you'd think it would come apart. Okay, I was able to crack that open. And that's what I thought. It's just it's a diaphragm. You know, probably you got 2-way valves up here, or 1-way valves, 2 1-way valves up here, and I suspect those look like reed valves of some sort. I don't know for sure. And this diaphragm that would activate when you, yeah. So that part of it is still working at least. Let's see if I can get in deeper. Yeah, that's captured maybe by this screw right here. Okay, so maybe this is the thing. They've got this piece right here. The fulcrum of this lever is peened over. All right, I think I'm not going to go any farther here. What's probably, and was probably obvious to you, not so much to me, but this arm, of course, activates or actuates that pump or that diaphragm right here. There is a spring underneath it, but it probably this diaphragm and its I think it's a shaft down here is probably captured by this arm. There is a pin on here, but the pin is only a 1-way scenario. There's no way to pop it out. I could probably drill it out, something like that, but it's really not worth it. I think we're just going to go ahead and abandon this. It's too bad. If they used some sort of different mechanism there, you probably could have just replaced this, and so much the better, in my opinion. Just to have it, I might price out a replacement lift pump. Obviously, they do fail, and again, if I'm remote, I would rather do it now while I've got the resources and availability. No idea how much that's going to be. Probably expensive, but I've got to get a new lift. I'll check on the price for that. I think I decided to get a replacement piston, and I'm going to get those 3 screws for the water pump and a few other things. So here we've got the piston, and I think the camera will pick it up, but you've got scoring along the skirt here. The rings were all okay, meaning that they are loose and still pliant. But I also found some scoring on the big bearing here, and I haven't looked up this way yet. But wasn't terribly concerned about it. I did purchase a replacement piston along with new rings and new bearings, both bottom and the top here at the wrist pin. My focus today is going to be on the cylinder head, and I've got the 2 valves. I've got the intake and the exhaust here, the cooling passages, and I'm going to remove those valves and have a look at the valve stems, clean this up, and if need be, do some grind the valves here, just to clean them up a bit, and then we'll move on to other things. Let's see if I can use a tool like this for the first time without damaging anything. Okay, we got those. Okay, spring from the intake, and then the intake valve. I don't know if you could see that or not. Let's see if we can. Doesn't look too bad. it could perhaps be cleaned up just a little bit. So we'll yeah, right along this top edge that I'm showing right now. Perhaps could clean that up. Okay. Here's the exhaust. And I mean, it really doesn't look that bad. Again, I'm going to lap it. It'll probably be a little bit better when I do that, but. And I got to reiterate that the only reason I'm doing this at all is because when I bought the boat, they told me that there was a compression problem, and they suspected there were bad valves, or I thought, okay, well maybe the rings. Everything looks half decent. The ring is scored, yes, but I didn't have any lack of power with this engine. But I want to investigate this, of course, before I start taking this boat off, away from civilization. Here are the seats on the head itself. Like I said, they're not perfect. Like over here, I don't know what you can see, but they're certainly not bad. Anyways, let's get some of that compound, and we'll get to lapping those valves. Okay, so let's see what happens with that. I think we'll have to try that again. All right, now we got the exhaust redone. I think you'll find it's not too bad. It's not a perfect surface. I think you can see that little ding right there. But a 4-year-old engine. It's my boat's underpowered with this engine anyways, and I'm not going to repower if this engine works. So that's just the way it is. This will help me get in and out of marinas, out of harbors, when there's not too much weather. New valve stem or valve guide seals is what these are. All right, I've got some assembly lube. Let's go ahead and put these valves back in. All right, the valves are back in. And so what's remaining on the head is clean up the surface. Probably should have done that beforehand. Clean up the gasket surfaces a bit. I'm just going to use some Scotch-Brite for that. I think this one. It's just the head cover, not too worried about it. Hey, I finally got all the parts that I need. Some new piston, and it does include all of the rings. And I've got a new, like I said, top bearing, a new wrist pin, a couple of circlips, and then the bottom bearings. I haven't looked at this pin yet. I don't even know if I don't know what condition it's in. It really doesn't look bad. I don't think. I don't know. There's a little bit of I feel a little bit of a something on the side here. But overall, I think it looks okay. Doesn't matter. We've got a replacement. All right, and then this center bearing here. Let's see if this... Hopefully that's not like pressed in. I don't have those kind of tools. Guess I should look. Oh, it might be. It might be pressed in because it's got a line with these holes here. Well, it turns out I've got to press that lower bearing out. They say it's not too difficult, and so I found myself a looks like a 15 millimeter socket that looks like it'll just press it out. It'll hit all edges without hitting the actual top of the piston here. There we go. Let's get that one in. All right, that's been pressed in, and there was some trepidation about aligning those holes. You see those holes inside the bearing, and they align out here. And because of the distance between the outer wall and the inner wall, and trying to align it and making sure both sides, I think I did okay. And I've got to head back home because in order to fit the wrist pin back in here, the new piston is supposed to be heated up in oil to 80 degrees centigrade or something. And I can't do that where I am now, so. Just a few minutes later, and I've already blown past the temperature required here. So, hurting myself. Should be able to slide in. Oh, nice. Excellent. Oh, I'm so glad. They said use a wooden hammer if you needed to. Yeah. No, we have to put this in. You know what? Here, I'm going to try this again. Let's just do this. Let's just do this over again here. This is cooking again, and I've got the little end of the piston rod there, and then also I've got the piston pin right here in the fridge, trying to cool that down because I could not get it through the small end of the piston rod. So what I failed to do previously is I failed to read in the part of the manual where it said that this new bushing had to be honed out to fit the pin specifically, and I just missed that in the manual. So when I went to do this before, it wasn't a possibility to fit this through here. Super hot. Come on, baby, come on. Understand what's going on here. There, okay. Oh, wow. Okay, here are a couple more things I want to test before I head to the engine. One is the thermostat. This is a brand new thermostat, and it should open or begin to open at 42 degrees centigrade, and it should be fully open, and that's plus or minus 2 degrees, I should say. And it should be fully open at 52 degrees centigrade, again plus or minus 2 degrees. And this is the over temperature sensor, and what happens is when it's plugged in, you've got a ground here, and there's no connection between the grounded threads when it's threaded into the engine, and this little tip here, which is connected to electrode at the instrument panel. And when the engine is cool, that is open. If the engine reaches 60 degrees centigrade, I believe if I read the manual correctly, then that switch closes, and you've got a path for current or ground, I guess in this case, and then the buzzer alarm and the light come on the panel. Okay, that is in, and the temperature is 32. There it is, so that's opening now. That little top lid is opening up. And that should be fully open at about 52 degrees. We're about 50 now. Yeah, so it looks like it's just about, looks like it's fully open there. Okay, and after cooling down, this is closed again. So that's good. Hopefully you can see that. It's obviously open. If you close that, that should go to about 0. And this here should be open if I connect these two here. Yeah, so that remains open. Okay, it's about 70 degrees. Okay, so that's hot out of the pan. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, so that basically is 0, which is exactly what it should be. And that temperature right there of this device is down here. It's 44 C now, so that should close again. Yeah, so it's already closed. Or opened, I should say. Good. I ran into another problem, and here's what it is. These are the crank bearings, the big end bearings of the connecting shaft, connecting rod, and they came packaged together just more or less just like this. I actually had to pry the one inside out, and while I was cleaning them up, I recognized that this one down here is scored at the top there. I don't know what you can see here. Anyways, I don't know if you can see that or not, but right in there, there's a perpendicular line essentially where the edge of this was cutting into it, and I ran my fingernail across it, and I can actually feel it. And I do not want to put this engine back together with a bearing that is already scored. So it's Saturday today. It'll probably take me another week and a half, 2 weeks or something to get another one in. Then I'll try to put the engine together, assuming that one's okay. But setbacks.